What is good, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. I just got out of Jordan Peele's Nope, starring Daniel Kaluuya and Keke Palmer, the third movie from Jordan Peele. This is a sci-fi thriller. I personally love, as a horror movie fan, that Jordan Peele is also a horror nerd and loves horror movies, and he is just spreading his wings over the subgenres of horror. We got psychological horror with Get Out, more straightforward with Us, and now we're getting into sci-fi territory. So this one brings back Daniel Kaluuya from Get Out. Tremendous actor, one that I'm glad that Jordan Peele brought into the forefront with Get Out, and he is amazing in this one. He plays a character called OJ. Keke Palmer is his sister. Her name is Emerald in the movie. They are heirs to the Haywood Hollywood horse training ranch. So their family has been in the business of like training horses for Hollywood movies throughout the years, going back to the beginning of film. Their great-great-great-grandfather was the first person ever to be captured on film. The first motion picture film was their grandfather on a horse. So they have been in the business of training horses for Hollywood movies. But running low on money, obviously, with CGI, new technology, horses aren't being used as much in movies. It's more work to get those natural effects in there. So the ranch is kind of, you know, they're trimming back on money, but they have this beautiful ranch out in the middle of the desert in Los Angeles, this desolate middle of nowhere area, which, as anyone who knows even the slightest bit about UFOs and aliens knows, that's where that activity typically happens. This movie is Close Encounters of the Third Kind meets Halloween, or vice versa. And Close Encounters is an obvious homage to, because it's an alien movie. So there's only a few of those. Close Encounters is one that this movie is not ripping off, but obviously there's airs of that in it. But Halloween is in there because this ranch is being literally stalked by this flying saucer, by this UFO. It just comes and goes, and it kind of floats through the sky, floats through. The way they use clouds and shadows in this movie is absolutely gorgeous. And I was just thinking Halloween. Obviously, I love Halloween. It's one of my favorite horror movies, but I couldn't help but notice that's what's happening. It's just playing games with them. It's stalking them. It kind of picks and chooses its moments and where to come. It moves through the clouds. And with the ranch being low on money, they decide, hey, we need to capture this thing on film. But easier said than done, because anytime the flying saucer comes over the ranch, it shuts down any and all electronics. It's almost impossible to capture. And they're really just almost doing it for money at first, but then it just becomes, this is something we have to do. What I loved about it is the stalker aspect of it. How it just floats over. The use of technology and how it just shuts down technology. And how old technology is really the only thing that can be used to capture it. And because what's cool about that is, as I mentioned, their great-great-grandfather was captured on original film. And I know Jordan Peele is a film nerd, so he's almost paying homage to just the old style of filmmaking. There's some things that you can't ever replace, and just using old-fashioned film and not using, you know, CGI, digital effects, stuff like that. It's a commentary on that and our dependency in filmmaking and art to get away from what's natural and go to what's more computerized. Because this spaceship, this UFO, don't care about that. It shuts it down. And I love how they use decoys and everything to try to trick the spaceship. The horses in the movie, the sound, I gotta mention that, because there's a lot of galloping of the horse. Anytime the UFO is present, horses are running away. The galloping sounds, the music being slowed down and manipulated by the technology. The sounds in this movie, the sound design was tremendous. And just the overall general effects, bringing in old technology and new technology, even TMZ. gets involved, and electronic vehicles versus just old-fashioned. At the end of the movie, when they're trying to capture the spaceship, Daniel Kaluuya, OJ, is on a horse. This guy from TMZ comes in there on an electric motorcycle. There's some things that just can't be replicated. They just can't be replaced. And I love Jordan Peele's commentary on it. I think like that's kind of what I got out of the movie. He's just like we've become too dependent on new technology, computers and things like that, and we're missing the natural, the aesthetic of the old school, of the just natural world, and just old school technology, just old school filmmaking. You had an old director in there just capturing it on like the old film, the old camera where you got to roll it like with your hand, replace the film every roll. It's just so cool. I love that commentary on it, and this stalker aspect of the UFO on the ranch. There's a great hero shot at the end with Daniel Kaluuya. It's an absolute beautifully shot movie. Uses the desert. It's one of the few movies that takes place in LA, but it's not in LA. It's like a Hollywood movie, but it's not a Hollywood movie. Again, I'm just like thinking about this stuff as I'm going. Like this, I didn't even think about that. So it takes place in LA, but it's not like New Hollywood. It takes place in old Hollywood, out in the desert where they used to film the old movies. And this spaceship just shuts down their old technology. It's useless to me. Get it out of here. There's a cool little side character in there from a guy who works at like a Best Buy type place. The imagery in there just grabs you. The use of the shadows, the use of the sounds. There's good little spots of humor in there, but never too much. There's never too much emotional pull. Even though they're a family, OJ and Emerald, he doesn't just overly use the family pulling the heartstring stuff like a lot of new movies. Jordan Peele just knows how to make a movie. Like, why do we not push these movies more? Why are directors like this? And it's not just him, you know, we got a lot of other directors out there like Fincher and stuff, but like there's a lot of young filmmakers that are trying to make movies with their camera now, just original ideas. We need to get away from the sequels, the remakes, the reboots, and I think he's subtly making a commentary on that we become too dependent on just all this new stuff, because there's all those movies, that's not filmmaking. Robert Downey Jr. sitting in front of a green screen and snapping his finger, looking at a red dot and reacting isn't acting. It's not. This is a great movie. Jordan Peele just knows movies. And what I love about more, he loves horror movies. This isn't a horror, this is more like a science fiction thriller, if I was to describe it. Daniel Kaluuya is in this is great in this. Keke Palmer is in there. Stephen Yeun, the parts he's in there is really good. Keith David, old school actor. And again, old school actor with new school. I love it. Bringing old school and new school together. And that just brings me to probably my summation of the movie. Let's try to find a balance here. Modern filmmakers and Hollywood. Like, y'all are remaking classics. Y'all are remaking great movies. Do you think there's a reason you're remaking them? Because they're great. Why don't we make new ones? New ideas, original ideas, push them. Yeah, you're gonna have some failures here and there. You're gonna put some money into some stuff that's going to not work. But the ones that do work are beloved. Like, and they're just this factory style, assembly line filmmaking is for the birds. It's no good. There's no problem with bringing in some technology, a touch of CGI here and there. But let's get away from that. Again, this movie uses natural effects. The sounds in this movie, it takes place in the natural world. It tells you that, listen, sometimes we need to get some old school stuff in there to capture it. And just a great story about people coming together for a common goal. You got a director that just wants to capture the ultimate shot. You got like electronics nerd who is into like just all modern technology and wants to catch a spaceship, and you have this family that wants to catch a spaceship to, you know, just one for the adventure of it, but also to try to save their ranch. And it's never really scary, but it's got that stalker vibe that they're being hunted. And if you love sci-fi movies, if you love alien movies, If you love thriller movies, this is your flick. I loved it. Recommend. Great movie. Jordan Peele goes from psychological horror to regular horror to sci-fi horror. I don't know what he's gonna do next. I would love to see. I don't even know what else he can do. Ghost Story. I don't know. But I can't wait to see what he comes out with next. But Hollywood, I can't urge you enough to allow younger filmmakers to just get into this game. Just kids that are coming up right now that are filming movies on their phones, writing their own original ideas. We need more of that. We need more of that. And we like that's blend the old with the new. Guys, thank you for joining me today. I greatly appreciate your time. I will see you all again soon. Please take care and be well.